Look at it as a giant treasure chest filled with energy, oil, natural gas, and minerals hidden in the vast lands of Canada. This energy treasure has long been like a trusty safety net for the United States economy, always there when needed. But lately, things have been shifting in unexpected ways. Not long ago, the United States, led by President Donald Trump, decided to put extra taxes, known as tariffs, on Canadian products. For a while, these tariffs were active, and then they were put on hold. This back-and-forth action caused ripples not only between the two neighboring countries, but also across the global trade scene. With these new challenges, Canada has started looking beyond its familiar friends and turning its attention to markets in Europe and Asia. So, what does all this mean for America? Could losing its biggest neighborly supplier of energy upset the balance of power on its doorstep? Picture this: heavy oil, plentiful natural gas, and essential minerals from Canada now heading to bustling European ports or high-tech Asian refineries instead of flowing down the road to the United States. This shift is like a sudden, powerful jolt in the global trade network. Historically, energy trade between Canada and the United States has been a lifeline for both nations. Even though the United States is one of the world's top producers of oil and gas, it still leans on Canada, especially for the type of heavy, crude oil that American refineries depend on. This oil helps keep our power plants running and our homes warm. Additionally, nearly all the natural gas that lights up American cities and powers industries comes from Canada. Besides oil and gas, Canada also supplies important minerals like uranium, making it a key partner in keeping energy prices stable and ensuring a steady flow of electricity. But why would Canada consider branching out to Europe and Asia? The answer lies in the uncertainty caused by those tariffs. With President Trump threatening significant taxes, 25% on various Canadian products, and 10% specifically on Canadian oil. Canada is concerned about being sidelined in the energy market right next door. In response, Canada is diversifying its trade relationships, forging new bonds with the European Union and Asian countries. This new approach is like adding more flavors to a recipe. Instead of relying on just one main ingredient, Canada is now mixing in different spices from different parts of the world. This strategy not only helps Canada safeguard its own economy, but also shakes up the dynamics of global trade. For the United States, the changes raise big questions. Will losing more Canadian energy imports weaken America's industry, reduce jobs, and impact national security? Or is the deep-rooted, long-standing connection between Canada and the United States too strong to break? As Canada makes bold moves on the international stage, the ripple effects might even shift the balance of power across continents. Canada, as a curious explorer suddenly noticing that its old friend, the United States, is acting a bit grumpy. This surprising change in attitude from Washington has pushed Canadian leaders to look beyond their familiar backyard and reach out to new friends around the globe. Rather than feeling upset, Canada sees a chance to grow and share its goods with the rest of the world. Canada has set a big goal. By 2025, it wants to send 50% more of its products to countries other than the United States. And guess what? Two of the most promising new friends are in Europe and Asia. Let's start with Europe. Europe is like a huge neighborhood where many people live and work together, and it's one of the biggest economic forces in the world. In fact, Europe is Canada's second biggest trading partner. A special trade deal called the Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement, or CETA for short, was signed in 2016 by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and top European officials. This deal is like a magic key that opens doors for Canadian businesses to enter the European market by reducing extra taxes on most goods crossing the Atlantic Ocean. CETA doesn't just stop at lowering taxes. It also helps companies in both Canada and Europe work together more easily. They can bid for government contracts and work on projects together, which could be worth a whopping $3.3 trillion. This is a fantastic chance for Canadian companies to be less dependent on trade with the United States and to find new opportunities to grow. However, the path hasn't been completely smooth. CETA still needs a thumbs up from every European country before it can be fully accepted. Right now, some nations like Italy, Ireland, and Poland, among others, haven't given their full support. Different countries have their own worries. Some say the deal gives too much power to big companies, while others worry that it might affect national rules about food safety or the protection of local farms. There's also a bit of "oh well" attitude from some governments who haven't seen it as an urgent task. Adding a twist to the story, Brexit, the decision by the United Kingdom to leave the European Union, has made things even more interesting. The United Kingdom was one of the first to support CETA, and even though it's no longer part of the EU, Canada and the UK have agreed to follow CETA's rules for now until they can create their own special trade deal. When President Trump threatened a trade war with Canada, it felt like a trusted friend was suddenly acting out of character. This unexpected move pushed Canada and its partners in Europe to work even harder to lock in a major trade deal and spark new business opportunities around the globe. Now, let's think about what could happen if Canada starts sending more of its oil, natural gas, and other important resources to Europe and Asia instead of mainly to the United States. For starters, the United States might find it tougher to keep its energy supplies as cheap and reliable as they used to be. This shift could mean that energy might cost more, and there could be more uncertainty about having a steady flow of power and fuel when it's needed most. On top of that, if Canada starts exploring new markets, the United States might lose some of the strong bargaining power it once enjoyed in energy trade. In simpler terms, America might not be able to negotiate deals as easily if Canada isn't as focused on its neighbor next door. To counter these challenges, Canada is already working on new commodity agreements, not just with the United States, but with other countries around the globe. They're planning strategies that can show Washington just how important Canada is to America's energy and economic security. By focusing on key resources, Canada hopes to give a boost to its industries, spark technical innovations, and attract both local and international investments. This, in turn, would help make Canada an even more crucial partner for the United States. Think of it as Canada saying, "Hey, our oil, gas, and other materials aren't just important, they're essential." If Canada can strengthen its own economy by supporting its manufacturing and services, while also keeping a close eye on sustainable practices like capturing methane and reducing harmful emissions, it can build a strong foundation that benefits everyone. But there's more to the story. Canada isn't just thinking about energy. It's also considering how to spread its economic risks. The United States already imposed steep 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum from Canada and other countries. This move has made it clear that finding new markets is not just a good idea, it's a necessity. By expanding its resources and tapping into markets in Asia and Europe, Canada can reduce the risks associated with big commodity projects. Over time, this could open up exciting trade opportunities with some of the world's largest and fastest growing economies. Interestingly, when the United States set a lower tariff of 10% on Canadian energy compared to 25% on other goods, it was a subtle nod to how valuable Canadian resources are to American interests. It shows that even amidst trade tensions, Washington recognizes the importance of Canada's oil and gas for its own domestic and international strategies. In the end, the situation is a bit like a game of chess, where every move counts. Canada is trying to find the right balance between keeping a strong bond with the United States and exploring new partnerships with Europe and Asia. Whether this will shake up the United States energy landscape or lead to new and exciting opportunities remains to be seen. What's clear is that the world of trade is changing, and Canada is determined to play a key role in this evolving game. Canada plays a big role in keeping the United States powered up and running smoothly. Canadian oil, natural gas, and electricity not only fill up America's energy reserves, but also help keep energy prices down for families and businesses. This steady flow of energy supports America's plan to share more power with its friends around the world. Think of the North American energy network as a giant web that connects Canada and the United States. This web is so tight that trying to replace Canadian energy would take a lot of time and money. Even though the United States produces plenty of its own oil and gas, it still leans on Canada to meet extra demands, especially as new technologies like artificial intelligence create a surge in energy needs. For example, American data centers, which power the latest tech and innovations, require a lot of energy. Canadian pipelines and power grids work together with American systems to fill in the gaps, ensuring that there's enough fuel to keep everything humming along. This collaboration gives the United States the freedom to export oil and gas to its allies without having to raise prices for everyday consumers. Canadian heavy crude oil, in particular, is vital for many U.S. refineries, especially those in the Midwest that are built to process this type of oil. Switching away from Canadian oil isn't just a simple change. It would force these refineries to either pay more for processing or rely on riskier alternatives from other parts of the world. That means more costs and potential risks from unstable regions. Beyond oil, Canadian natural gas is a key player too. As the U.S. faces growing demand from industries like tech and manufacturing, Canadian natural gas helps fill the shortfall. Currently, about 9% of U.S. natural gas comes from Canada, but experts believe that number can grow. With new projects underway to turn Canadian natural gas into liquefied natural gas, LNG, for export, Canada is gearing up to become one of the top LNG suppliers in the world. Imagine 6 major LNG projects on the West Coast, including a big one coming online this year. That's a huge boost for American allies in Asia and Europe who need reliable energy. And it's not just about oil and gas. Canadian electricity, known for being both affordable and clean, is another important resource. New projects, like the power line from Hydro-Quebec to New York, are designed to supply a significant portion of the city's energy needs while saving billions of dollars over the next few decades. With more than 30 transmission lines crossing the border, Canada helps keep the lights on and the energy grid secure for many U.S. states. All these efforts show that Canada isn't just a neighbor. it's a strategic partner in America's energy future. By providing low-cost, dependable energy, Canada gives the United States a cushion that supports both domestic growth and international energy exports. This partnership allows the U.S. to meet rising demands at home, while also helping its allies move away from less reliable energy sources. In a world where energy is the fuel for everything from advanced manufacturing to cutting-edge technology, the bond between Canada and the United States is more important than ever. As new projects come online and technologies advance, this partnership may even help shape global energy security for years to come. Feel free to share your ideas and join the conversation about what the future might hold for North American energy cooperation. Do not forget to subscribe and activate the notification bell. Thank you for watching us,